Hello, welcome to Tim Anderson Horse Training. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. This is Katie. She belongs to a client of mine. She brought her over the weekend and she was sore on one foot. And what I want to talk about today is deciding when it's time to call the vet. You can call the vet for every little broken scratch, everything. I guess that's okay if you got really deep pockets. But then the other side of that is when you really do have an emergency, are you going to really be able to get the vet out? And then the other part of that is, the other extreme is never calling the vet for anything. And that's, of course, irresponsible horse ownership too. But you got gray areas in between. Sometimes it's really obvious you need to call a vet. Sometimes it's not obvious. And then you have situations where it's really gray and you're not really sure. And this is kind of one of those situations. And we're going to go over a procedure that I go through to decide whether it's time to call a vet, and we'll see what we find. Okay, so what we have seen when we trotted the horse around was that she seemed to be sore on a front foot. And I'm pretty sure that it's that front right. But we're going to take a look at all of her feet to just take a look. What I want to do is I want to pick up each foot, clean it out, and see if I see any evidence of bruise, abscesses. Try to collect some information to use to make a decision on whether to call a vet. And if you don't have any information, if you don't have anything to base your decision on, you're not going to know whether to call a vet. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to collect information and decide whether to call a vet. So I think it's in this front right foot, but we're going to start with the front left and work our way around. So what I want to do, I just want to run my hand down her leg, see if I feel any inflammation, any heat. And I like to start with the foot that I don't think is the problem. That kind of gives me a baseline of what to expect. So I'm just going to clean her foot out. Don't see any issues. I don't see any evidence of thrush. Nothing soft that shouldn't be. No fluid. I don't see anything here that would be a problem. Got my hand under her feet. I don't feel anything warm, which we're going to shoot everything with a thermometer here in just a minute. So that foot looks pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing with the back foot. Foot looks good. Again, I'm not feeling any heat. Want to make sure I feel around the cornet band, down her leg. No heat, no puffiness. So we'll go on to the next foot. That foot feels good too. She's been in a stall all night, and the temperature's in the, I think, the 40s. So everything should be pretty cool. Now here, as I run my hand down her leg, I can feel a little puffiness right here. Really not warm to the touch, but there is some puffiness. See what we see underneath. Don't feel any obvious heat. Really, the only thing I see is a little bit of puffiness right there. A little bit of fluid. So, the next thing I like to do is take my digital thermometer and shoot some temperatures. So let's do that. Okay, so this is just a non-contact thermometer. You can get them on eBay. They're pretty inexpensive. They're less than $100. They're really handy for finding heat spots, which can be usually if a horse is sore someplace, you'll find some heat. You can't really go by the temperature that's on here because you're reading surface temperature, and the air, of course, is going to affect that. What I'm looking for is a difference in temperature. So if I shoot a temperature here on this leg and it's warmer over there, then I know there's some heat in that leg. So that's what I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is just get some temperatures, different spots on the leg. So I've got 61, 61, 62. When you're doing this, you want to try to keep, that's pretty consistent, 60, 61. You want to keep the same distance off of the whatever body part you're shooting, because the way these work, they'll send out an infrared beam that'll spread. So if I come out, I'm getting a bigger range of temperature. So let's go up here. There's a vein that runs right here, so it's pretty typical to be a little warmer. It is. I hit 63. Come back around the front. 62, 61, 60, 61. So let's go to the fetlock here right now. 62, 63, 64. There's also a vein right there. 63, 61. So basically I'm getting 60, 61 pretty much everywhere. Right here where there's a tendon that runs up the back, I'm getting about 63 there, 62. So let's go to the other leg and let's see what differences we get. So right there at the cornet line, the temperature there's 62, 60. Basically the same temperature we had there. Usually what I'm looking for with the difference in temperature, that's usually going to indicate inflammation and soreness. Still 60, 61. It's right about the same temperature. Let's get up to the fetlock. 67, 68, 67. We got 61 there. So there's definitely some heat right here in this fetlock, which that's where that puffiness is. 69, 66, 68. So all this leg is definitely warmer than the other leg. So we've definitely got some heat in it. It's not a huge amount of heat, but there is heat in it. So now that we've identified where the problem is, we know there's something going on right here. From here, you have to go with your horse knowledge and your horse experience and decide what next step you're going to take from here. If you have a good enough relationship with your vet that he has provided you with some bute, you might decide that you want to give her a day or two of bute and some stall rest. You have to decide here, is this a rest situation or is this a move around situation? You need to rely on your knowledge from that. If you don't have knowledge, if you don't know, then you need to call a vet. And that's where you need some knowledge, you need some horse knowledge, and you need some experience. There's several things that can go on. A horse does not have any muscle from the knee down. Once you get to the knee, there's no muscle. The only thing that's down here is bone, tendons, and ligaments. So I could come up with what I think is going on right here. I'm not going to say. I want to hear what you have to say. Is this a situation where you would call a vet, or how would you treat this at home? Another thing we could do is we could wrap it with some cold packs and see what happens. So that's where I'm going to conclude this video. I'm going to leave it open at this point. I want to know what you would do in this situation with the evidence that we just gathered, the symptoms we just found, and let me know what you would do in this situation. Until next time, thank you for watching.